Welcome to the Own It Sister podcast with the amazing life coach, Sarah Oxendine.
Aloha, everybody. How are you? This is Sarah Oxendine with the Own It Sister podcast, episode number 19. What is even happening here? You guys, this is so incredible. 19 podcast episodes. Yes, I am just so thrilled and proud of myself for being consistent and putting out some amazing content and helping all of you learn new ways of thinking and introduce some new ideas. So today's topic is hard relationships, also known as challenging relationships. So I picked this topic for I picked this topic because I really understand hard relationships. I love my husband and he is my best friend and we are really close. I really think we have a very deep connection, a very close relationship. We tell each other everything. I really appreciate him, but he is my hardest relationship of my life. And so because of that, I just thought, he's, one of the most important relationships that I have, and yet it is the most challenging and for sure the hardest. And then I was just, kind of pondering and thinking why is that the case? And for me, it was I chose a person who pushes me, who drives me to be better. Our relationship helps me to evolve to a better version of myself. And, whenever we're, evolving, it doesn't feel comfortable and it does not feel good. And it definitely isn't easy. Evolving takes work and effort. And I'm not saying that every relationship should be hard. I'm not saying that if you don't have, if the person you're married, if you did not pick a person who is very challenging, that means anything bad or anything. No, it's not. But what I want to tell you is that whatever challenging and hard relationships that you have in your life, they are opportunities for you to evolve into the next version of yourself. Incredible. Now for me, because this happens to be my husband, right? So I live with him, I sleep with him, we are in each other's faces all the time, right? We work together, we raise 5 kids together. There's so much. His relationship is so important to me that I'm so willing to do the work, though it has been very challenging. Now, it might not be the case that your husband is your most challenging relationship. It may be your mother. It may be a child, maybe your son, maybe your daughter. It may be a sister, a brother. Wherever that is in your life, it is such a great opportunity for you to grow. Even though it feels so painful and can be so hard, it is so worth it. It is so worth it. I am so for hard relationships. Now, let me clarify. When I'm saying hard relationships, I'm not talking about abusive relationships. We are not talking about abusive relationships at all. If you're in an abusive relationship, I'm not saying if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to stay. Now, what I am saying is what you are identifying as an abusive relationship, whether it is or it isn't an abusive relationship, really depends on your thoughts, right? So someone could think that if someone raises their voice at them, that is an abusive relationship. Someone else might be like, yeah, that's not a big deal at all. Someone else might think that hitting is 100% not okay and acceptable. Someone else might be like, oh yeah, we totally play hit all the time. It's not a big deal. I just think hitting's playful. So what you identify as abuse is another thing, right? To pay attention to. You wouldn't put abuse into the circumstance because what abuse means to you and what abuse means to me could be totally different. So I am in an abusive relationship, that would go in your thought line. And then the circumstance would be exactly what was said or exactly what was done, right? My husband punched me in the face. My thought is he abuses me. And then my feeling is, and actually I did a whole model on that because I just kind of wanted to show you. Let me show you. Let me get back to the right place. Oh, snap. Not this one. Did I already put it away? Is it this one? What? I did. File open. Sorry, guys. I want to read you the model that I did because I think it is, you can just kind of see the difference, okay? So, let's see. Okay, so husband hits me. Thought, this isn't what marriage is supposed to be, but supposed to be like. Feeling defensive. Action, fight back, result fighting. Now, circumstance, husband hits me. I choose to stay with a man that hits me. Let me tell you, when you can be honest and like, because if you're still with him and you're continuing to stay, right? Like when you can say that to yourself, that changes everything. Like when I say that to me, it makes me feel very uncomfortable, right? When I choose to think the thought, oh, I choose to stay with the man who hits me. That makes me feel very uncomfortable. So in the feeling line, I put uncomfortable. The action was I leave him. And the result was I start a new life. So what I want you to do is be very honest when you're doing your models. Okay? Of course, there's a ton of other thoughts. But okay, we're just going to establish now. We're not talking about abusive relationships. You decide what is abusive. If you're in them, ask yourself, why are you staying? And why have you not left yet? And do some models on that because you are choosing to stay in an abusive relationship if you're in one. No one is controlling you. No one is forcing you. You're having thoughts in your head that are causing you to take certain actions. And for you right now, the action is stay. So let's move on to the next one. Let's get to just hard relationships that are not abusive. Let's go to, what was this right here? Oh, I want to bring to your attention. If you have a relationship that you think is hard, that is a thought in your head. I know you're going to want to think, no, it's fact. This is very hard. But what you think is hard and what someone else thinks are hard could be totally different. Someone else could be like, oh my gosh, your husband's a piece of cake. I would love to have that problem because this is my husband's problem. And then you could be over there and be like, what? This is easy, right? So this is hard as a thought in your head. It's optional. This is a hard relationship, whether it's with your mother or your child, whoever. And when you can understand that, then you can own what's going on here. So this is really good news. This is a hard relationship. It's just a thought in your head. And this is amazing because now you can change it. I suggest that you do the work on all of your hard relationships for your sake. If you have a boss that you feel is making you miserable, correct yourself. Why are you making yourself miserable and blaming your boss? What? Did you hear me? Why are you making yourself miserable and blaming your boss? So you're going to want to feel defensive because you're the one suffering. Blaming someone else always feels like the better option because then you don't have to do any work, right? If it's your boss's fault that you're so miserable at work, then you don't need to do anything to change. And then here's the other thing. Then we want to go straight to, let's just change the circumstance. I'm just going to quit my job. Like this is blah, blah, blah. This is what I like to suggest. If your brain is telling your boss is the reason that you hate your job and that relationship is really hard for you, if you do the work to evolve yourself, the work in this job with this boss that is a very hard relationship for you, you will grow so much. You will be an evolved version of yourself because you had to do work on this boss. And if you were my client, I would be like, okay, let's do the work on, I suggest, and of course you can do whatever you want, but I would suggest, let's do the work on your boss. Really, it's you doing the work and I'm just guiding you. Do the work on your boss. Let's get you to a place where you can enjoy your job. Okay. And maybe even just tolerate your boss rather than right now being so miserable. And then make a decision once you're in a place where you can find joy in your work. And what happens here is you are challenged. Like you get to do some serious work. And by owning, no, I'm not feeling this way because of my boss. Oh, my boss just last minute gave me all this work. So in the circumstance, we say, boss, last minute you can't put in there either. Boss gave me work to do and said it's due tomorrow. Thought, you freaking jerk. Action, drag out the work, or just don't show. What happens when you are thinking he's a jerk, you don't show up as your best self. It's not like you're going to go and do that work like to your best ability. You're going to do the work being mad about it. So you're not showing up at your best self. And then the result is you're not living up to your personal standard of yourself. And then you're blaming it on your boss. Okay. And then probably your performance isn't as good. And then your boss acts more like a jerk. So you're really just getting more of the same thing. Now, if you do the work and gives you this, boss says, Kate, you got this extra, here's this work I need to do done tomorrow. If your thought is, I'm going to freaking make this awesome. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done early. I'm going to turn it in on time and before, and I'm going to be proud of myself. And you just sit down, you crack the work out, you do your best, you turn it in. Probably the relationship with you and your boss might change a little bit. It might not. Maybe he's going to stay and be the same jerk. But at least you're liking who you are better. Maybe you're even enjoying what you're doing more. But the whole point, it isn't about your boss. It isn't about the person that this is a hard relationship with. It's about you and you seeing that the only reason relationships are hard is because of you're having a lot of hard thoughts about them and the things that they do and the things that they say, right? So for me, with my husband, I had a lot of thoughts like, you're so hard on the kids. You're always short-tempered. It's so crazy because lots of the thoughts that I had, I also have evidence and thoughts that are exactly the opposite about him also. But in those moments, my brain would just go to they still do. I have to autocorrect all the time. Right. And a lot of it was me assuming his intentions rather than what if he has the best intentions right now? What if he's not actually trying to be an a-hole? What if he's trying to do something wonderful and amazing and I'm just missing out on that because I'm so busy judging him? And so I've had to really just hold space and allow for things to happen and not jump in. But let's do some more. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. So listen, if you look at your boss or your husband or your sister or your brother, whoever this hard, challenging relationship is, and if you look at it as this is an opportunity for you to grow, and that you decide, listen, I'm going to accept this challenge. I'm going to learn how to evolve to the next version of myself for my benefit, then you win. Right? I win if I decide, no, I'm just going to freaking master this. And it's so incredible. It's so incredible. I'm so glad that I do the work, that I've done the work, and I continue to do the work because, yes, my relationship with my husband is I would say a harder, challenging relationship, but it is the best relationship out of all my relationships. I love my relationship with my children for sure too, but they're all different, but it is so worth the work. And that's what you'll find too. Let's see if did I do it? Okay, here, I did some examples. So listen, so you have in the circumstance, a boss passes me over for a promotion. Thought, this racist, male chauvinist pig will never give me a promotion. Okay, that's a thought. Even if your brain's those are facts, he's racist, he is a male chauvinist pig, and he never will give me a promotion. Those are still thoughts, okay? This is not a fact. This is a thought you're choosing to think. It's optional. What happens when you think that thought, you feel defensive. Okay, actually, sorry, you feel defeated. Oh my gosh, that's such a terrible feeling to feel defeated. No, so then you feel defeated. Then what do? You complain about it, and then you're still not promoted, right? It's not creating the result you want by thinking that thought. So And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's still an optional thought. Same circumstance. Boss passes me over for a promotion. Thought, something needs to change. Feeling, determined. Action, talk to the boss and ask why I was overlooked. The result, I didn't even do the result on this. Oh, that's funny. I wonder why I didn't. The result is the result there could be several different ones, right? Like it could be that he's like, yeah, I totally overlooked you. I'm never going to give you a raise. But at least you're going to know, right? Whether he lies to you, your result there is you took some action to find out what the truth is. You took the initiative, like you said something. You didn't just sit there doing nothing. You can know that you said something so you can decide what's the next action, okay? So you confronted him. Good job. Next circumstance, or the same circumstance. Boss passes me over for the promotion. Thought, I will learn all of my rights and fix this ASAP. How does that make you feel? Focused. How do you act? You learn what my rights are. What's the result? I am taking legal action, or whatever action it is, right? You'll do the research. You're going to learn, like, what can I do here if I have a legitimate case? This is racist. This is sexist. And this is unacceptable. How can I prove this, right? Then you can build a case for yourself and do something about it. When you just think the thought, like in the first one, this freaking racist, male chauvinist pig's never going to give me a raise, you feel defeated, so you don't take the proper action to get you what you want. But when you can think a thought like, I will learn all of my rights. I will learn all of my rights and fix this ASAP. And the fixing might look like you learn and then you could confront him. You could say like, yeah, I'm not working here anymore. Maybe you're to start your own business, like whatever it is. But here's my thoughts. We have a bunch of like legal actions and laws in place to prevent racism and sexism and inappropriate behaviors. But if we aren't using those, then they're pointless. So we need to like call things out. We need to use the laws already in place and get things going, right? And if for some reason you looked at it and you're like, oh, there's nothing that I can do here, I don't have a solid case, and you could just choose to quit, right? But at least you're learning learning what's in your power, taking the necessary action, and then you can make a choice from there. Now let's talk about another hard relationship, possibly. So my son lies to me daily. So maybe you have a hard relationship with your son and you feel like, he is just intolerable, he's disrespectful, and all, if you having all those types of thoughts about him, okay? And now here we are, and your son, you have the circumstances, son lies to me daily. The thought is he's going to grow up and be a liar, and he is a liar. You feel like a failure. You action is you ground him daily, and the result is my son hates me. Okay, so all of this, and I'm not saying that grounding him daily is a problem, but because of the thought that is happening here, that is creating your emotion of feeling like a failure whenever we are taking action from a place like, I feel like such a failure. Like we're not showing up, you're not connecting with your son in those situations. Like that's not happening. It's disconnect, it's anger, it's frustration, it's failure. You feel like he's a failure. You feel like you're a failure on so many levels. So then it ends with your son hates you. And then you're like, I don't know why he hates me. He's a jerk who won't stop lying. But listen, if you are having thoughts that are not serving you or him in this place, and I'm sure you don't want a relationship where your son hates you. You probably might even not even like your son, and you don't want to feel like that either. But what you're not understanding is all of that is stemming from the thoughts you're having in your head, and then you're blaming your child for it. Because here, let me tell you, the thought he's going to grow up to be a liar, he is a liar, that is just an optional thought. You don't have to think that about your child at all. In fact, I actually have some children who lie. I do not think that about them ever. And they probably do lie to me daily. Like that could be totally the truth. I don't make their lying a big deal. I really used to, like when they were little. And then when I just decided that this is optional, I don't want to think or feel like this about my children. Maybe this is just their struggle. So here's here's the next optional thought for the same one. Son lies to me daily. Thought, he is struggling right now. And for me, my thought was, okay, he struggles with lying, or she struggles with lying. And then my feeling was compassion. Like, I have my own struggles. You have your own struggles. We all have struggles. Some people struggle with lying, some children, and some people always do. But that doesn't mean they're a bad human. You get to decide what you want to make that mean. And you get to decide how you react to that. So in this situation, son lies to me daily. My thought is he is struggling right now, or he struggles with lying. I feel compassion. Learn about how to teach the skill of honesty. Talk to him about it and try to understand. Connection. The result is I have a connection with my son, or a connection with my daughter. So I think really trying to better understand, especially with anyone, when we try to understand why are they doing what they do, it just brings us to another level of awareness where we can show up in a place that will actually serve you and them. Hold on, I gotta fix this really quick. Let's go over a couple more examples. Okay, mother says, I'll never be good enough for him. Okay, listen, and here's the other thing. Whatever someone says or does, no matter how justified you feel like it makes you, you are in charge of the thought you're having, no matter how justified you are. So if your mother says to you, you'll never be good enough for him, okay? And your thought is, what kind of mother says that? And of course, if you say a question, you need to answer it. So the answer to the question would be, oh, a bad mother. I have a bad mother. That would be the thought. How do you feel? You feel left out. You feel gypped. Then how do you act? You push away. And what's the result? You resent your mother. So let's do that again. If your mother says, you'll never be good enough for him, and your thought is, you're totally wrong, mother. I'm 100% good enough for him and anybody. I'm already enough and I don't need your permission. Then you're going to feel she's wrong. You're going to feel like, what is the emotion that you're feeling right there? If your mother says that, you're never going to be good enough for him. And then your thought is, you're wrong. And then your feeling is like confident, confused, maybe like, what, she's crazy. What is she talking about? Like, she's totally wrong. But in no way, shape, or form are you making what she says the truth. That is where we have a problem. And you're not even making it mean anything about her. Like, oh yeah, I've got a mom that says that sometimes. Sometimes she's a little crazy. She's wrong. Moms can be wrong about things. Totally fine. I love you, Mom. Thanks. No thanks. You're wrong. Right? And you don't have to make it mean like, oh my gosh, like she should not be talking to me this way. She's a terrible mother. When you do that, you spiral. And then of course you're creating more of, yeah, this is such a hard relationship. She's so hard. But when you can think the thought like, yes, she's wrong. And that's okay. Moms can be wrong sometimes. Then you can come to a place of compassion, or you can come to a place of just where you're having your own back. And then the result is you're having your own back and you don't need your mom's permission to be enough. Okay, all of that is good, no matter what. That is all good. Okay, so here's the deal. Hard relationships is actually a thought. Okay, so in the circumstance, you would put the person, you'd put what they say or the actions that they do, and then you would work through it. What's your thought about that? There's not really such thing as a hard relationship. It's just some people where it's easier for us to have, there are such thing as hard relationships, but it's not because of the person. It's because of our thoughts about them. Some people can be around people that we think are hard and we're like, they're not hard for me at all. And it's because their thoughts, and you'll be like, no, but the way they treat them is differently. So that's why. And again, it doesn't serve you to think that way. It serves you to just own your part in it and be like, this is because of thoughts that I'm having. And here's the other deal. Listen, just because you do the work, I do suggest all your hard relationships do the work, but and to get yourself to a place where this is not so hard anymore. It's not actually, sorry, correction. Get yourself to a place where you can find like love for this person and have joy in this relationship with them. But what you might find is it's so much work to do. Like you have to do so much thought work just to feel good when you're spending time with them that you might just be like, listen, like, and whether you tell them or not, that doesn't even matter. That's not even the point. But for yourself, you might just decide like, listen, this relationship takes way too much brain power. This is not where I want to spend my brain power. I'm just not interested in this relationship because it takes so much work for me to participate in this relationship that I'm just done. The same with a job, right? Or your boss and can be like, oh yeah, like, sure, I can be happy in my job. I've tried it. I've done it. I know I can. I've done the work. I've evolved. And I've just decided that I'm just going to leave this job because it's so much brain work for me. But you do the work first so that you can see that you can have joy in any circumstance. You can think differently about it if you want to. And in your hard relationships, if they're with people that you love, it's going to be worth the work. Like hands down, my husband's the hardest relationship that I've ever had in the existence of time. Hands down, the best work of my life. And so worth it. It is so worth it. I can't even tell you. Like, I'm so grateful. For me personally, I'm grateful that I have had the opportunity to do this work, because it helps me learn and understand about myself so much. And a lot of the times it's really because I'm not saying something. It's because I'm not being honest about what I want or how I feel that I end up, in that things end up feeling so hard for me, where I could take that away if I just had my own back, and I do this, but when I have my own back and I'm just open and honest with myself and with my husband about me, but then I don't have any expectations from him either, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have expectations, but like, let's just say I'm like, hey, love, I'd really love you to come to bed with me. And if he's like, no, I like, you want to be in bed by 9 and I really don't want to go to bed by 10. And this is actually a real thing that me showing up as an evolved version of myself is allowing him to not come to bed with me and not making it mean anything about me. Right? So before I used to make that mean like, oh my gosh, he doesn't love me, like so dramatic, like so. And if I asked myself, I didn't even really believe he doesn't love me. It's just silly that I would even say that. But still, that's where my brain would go. And so just recognizing, no, my husband doesn't need to come to bed with me at night. And he still totally loves me. I can go to bed by myself. Nothing has gone wrong here. Everything's okay. And I just have to do my own work on that. So I challenge you to accept the challenge in your hard relationships. Do the work on you. Run models. Do thought downloads. Like, do the work and see how those relationships evolve into the most precious relationships you've ever had. Have an amazing day, my friends. The essential oil that we are going to, I didn't pick one of the emotion. You know what, we are going to do for the emotion of having a higher consciousness. Okay. So connecting with your higher consciousness, or being a higher consciousness for yourself, which is just more awareness, right? The essential oils to use would be sandalwood, elevation, helichrysum, and frankincense. I love all of these oils. Actually, for me, sandalwood is not actually my favorite smell. So for me, I would 100% choose elevation. I love helichrysum. It's not like I love the smell of helichrysum, but I love the power of helichrysum. But it's not bad. And then frankincense, I love frankincense. Now I want you to say this to yourself. What would it take for me to connect with my higher self? What would it take for me to process feelings of shame, guilt, and abandonment? I am now safe to connect with the inspiration already for me. Oh my gosh, sorry. I am now safe to connect with the inspiration ready for me. See light connecting the crown of your head to heaven. Imagine the crown opening to allow the light to flood down through your body. Use those oils, put them on under your earlobes, on your wrists. You can put it right here too. Inhale it on the back of your neck. If ever there's an oil that you feel like you need, but you really don't like the smell, you can put it right on the bottom of your feet. Also, you can do it on your solar plex, on your third eye, on the palm of your head. Get the oils on you, use them so they can help you move from where you are to where you want to be. My name is Sarah Oxendine. I have a 6-week program. It's called Own It Sister. And I work with women who are recently divorced, and we really work on your personal relationship with you. We work on, not rebuilding what has, like if you're divorced, like we're not trying to, like a lot of times, right, when a big breakup or a divorce, it's like, oh, I need to rebuild my life. We're not rebuilding anything. We're building something completely new. You're not broken. You don't need to be rebuilt. What you need is to learn skills so that you can create something new, something for the first time, something that's never been. And that's what I help you do. So if you're interested, I would love to work with you. Give me a call. It will ask for your name, and then it will ring me, and you will wait. And then while you're waiting, if I don't answer, leave me a message, and I will call you back. But most likely, if I have service, I will answer you. Either way, have an amazing day. I'm so excited I love shooting these podcasts for you. I love life coaching. I love working with my clients. It brings me so much joy. Have an amazing day and own it, sister.